The most hated Air Jordan sneaker, what is it? A lot of people think it's the Air Jordan 2s, but I personally think that it could be these. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Recently, I went thrift shopping and I happened to run into a pair of these bad boys, which is one of my favorite Air Jordans, believe it or not. And this is the Air Jordan 15. This is actually a retro version. This is not an original, but I got them for a really good price. It was well under $100 and they were just a little dirty, so I cleaned them up and they look as good as new. Minus the bottom, you can tell they've been worn, but that'll happen as soon as I wear them. And with this, I kind of was just like, well, it's a little slow right now with sneakers, so why not talk about, like, is this the most hated Air Jordan? I personally think that it is, even though currently the Air Jordan 2 is kind of like in everybody's brain because they were like a big model last year that weren't actually a big model. They really tried hard. I don't think it worked. And I think a lot of people like the 2/3, 2x3, 2/3 more than the actual Air Jordan 2, which is a little weird. But either way, I thought it would be fun to go over what these guys are, what they used to offer, what this particular retro does offer, because I do think that this version of the shoe right here is the most hated, at least, version of this shoe, and for good reason. Jordan Brand these up pretty hard. I will explain how in just a minute. But before I do, this is the box that they came in. We're actually going to see a return of this box in 2025. They've switched up a little bit though, where it looks like it's like a really either dark gray or black look. I personally wish that they would have just gone straight up OG like they've done with other releases in the past, but it's not a deal breaker by any means. I do love that they're finally paying tribute to this face box. This is an era or a vibe in and of itself. Like, if you see one of these boxes and you know what it is, congratulations, you're old. Now, this pair right here is an original pair. It is actually the launch colorway. They came in the black, stealth, and red color. These are a friend of mine's that he gave them to me. He's also a Discord member. Shout out to Raul. I really appreciate it. He's the one that's donated all of these old, broken apart shoes so that we can show you guys what's inside, except for inside this one. This one's different. Again, I'll explain soon.
Such a tease.
But yeah, if you look on the sticker right here, or the price tag, Tri-City, the world's largest sporting goods store. Are they even around anymore?
I've never even heard of them.
Oh, man. So yeah, retail price is $150. That's pretty cool in and of itself, or at least it used to be, especially seeing as now the, what is it, the black and red Air Jordan 1 85 cut, it'll be $250. Now, this particular colorway that we have right here, again, is the launch colorway. This is, I don't think, the best launch colorway. I think that's a little plain, but at the time it was pretty cool. And again, this guy right here released in 1999, whereas this colorway right here originally released in the year 2000. So I was a senior in high school. It was a time, man. Like, I remember seeing these, being initially disappointed because these did follow the Air Jordan 14, and the Air Jordan 14 I thought was one hell of a shoe, both visually and performance-wise. This one took a little getting used to, but this was actually an interesting concept model because they kind of like went back into the archives, if you will, where, I don't know if you remember, but about 10 years earlier was the Air Jordan 5, and those were actually modeled after or loosely modeled. Design inspirations were taken from World War II fighter planes, specifically the shark teeth that you would see on the midsoles of the Air Jordan 5. Whereas these guys right here were inspired by a stealth bomber, which is pretty sick if you think about it, because that's kind of what Tinker was going with when he was taking these onto a basketball court, even though Michael Jordan at the time was retired yet again. And so there was a slew of NBA players playing in these sneakers. Reggie Miller was one, Ray Allen was another one. They had player exclusives of this specific colorway, the stealth one. And because these guys were so plain like this, the only reason why you knew that they were player exclusives is if you saw the back. The red stripe would be gone. There would be a different color, purple, green, yellow, whatever. It was sick. They would also have player exclusive stuff inside the tongue right here where the logo's at, but that's neither here nor there. The box was this guy right here, and because those are falling apart, I'm just gonna use the one that's not. But it was pretty cool because they just sat right in the box like that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's cool, a little gimmicky maybe, but.
No, I was gonna say that is the coolest part about this shoe.
What?
Is the box divider.
No, just stop talking now. Stop talking. I will defer to you if I need to.
Alrighty then.
Now, my favorite colorway of the shoe, I actually have two, but one is one that I've never owned before, so it's like a grail of mine, believe it or not, but it's the white and UNC. I really wish that those would make a retro or a retro comeback. You guys let me know if you think that the shoe itself should make a comeback. Do you think that this is just one of them ones where you're like, nah, bro, this ain't it? Or the 2000s are back, and they're missing all the best Like they're wearing the clothes. You gotta go all out, man. If you're gonna really like bite an era, do it right. But yeah, I would love to see a proper return of the Air Jordan 15. This right here was 2017. It was the last time that these shoes actually released like this. There's been other variations, but not like an original. They've had like zippers and you know, weird stuff. Billie Eilish had her pair. Now, as far as the shoe itself is concerned, it's a really interesting construction just because everything is in like so many pieces. And this is probably one of the reasons why a shoe like this hasn't seen a retro return in a while, just because there's a lot of crap going on here. And I've explained this before, but the more that somebody has to have hands on a product and really like stitch it and glue it together, that costs money. It's manpower. And I know that they manufacture these overseas, so the cost per unit is much more affordable than it would have been had they manufactured them like somewhere here in the US, but it's still more money than what they probably would want to put up. When we're talking about like margins and stuff, like they could save so much and earn so much more by doing so much less. So in that sense, why not? But either way, the outsole, it's very simplistic in nature. It's just herringbone from top to bottom, but it's also not simplistic at the same time. Like this right here is a decoupled outsole. So it's in two separate pieces. This is supposed to be massive weight reduction. So we've talked about this before with the thinning of rubber, the reduction of rubber. This is full on reduction. There's like a whole chunk missing and stuff like that. It's kind of reminiscent of the Air Jordan 28, 29, 30. But yeah, I think that this is pretty interesting. You can see how wide the forefoot is, which I think is awesome. You actually have dual outriggers in this model. You got one right here at the lateral end, which is pretty traditional, but you also got this nice little baby one right here in the back. It's cool. Now, all of that was glued to a lightweight, and I'm talking about lightweight Phylon midsole. This is one of the clunkier feeling Jordans though, which is one of the things that's so interesting about it, is that all the extra that they did made them feel clunky despite everything else being ultra lightweight in nature. So this is why I always say that it's not really about things being lightweight. It's all about construction, how things are made. And when you wrap all of this lightweight stuff in rubber, all of a sudden the feel, despite it actually being lightweight, doesn't feel lightweight at all. It feels clunky. And that's what ended up happening here. So this is the EVA carrier. The midfoot is part of that. They actually painted this in a different style of paint than usual. It was very similar to the previous year, the Air Jordan 14, but it didn't end up becoming sticky after a while, which a lot of people know about. Like if you have like original 14s, this stuff right here, really like tacky feeling, almost like tape. These guys, this is an original pair, not so much. It feels just as it did way back in 1999. But anyways, despite how it looks, this actually is not part of the midsole. It's just still attached, so I'm gonna leave it there. But this is a rubber heel counter. Again, add some weight, add some clunk, add some heft to it. You could really feel it when you're running up and down a court. We did performance review these way back. So if you wanted to check that out, go for it. Not a great video, but the information is still accurate. Now, inside of this lightweight EVA carrier was 2 zoom units, which I still have. They're right here. That's what the setup is, and that's what it always should be. However, when we're talking about this 2017 version, it's actually not. There was a website, I believe it was called FastPass, and I think they've been shut down since this, which is unfortunate because what they were doing was a great service for all shoe heads, because they would cut these things open, tear them apart, and let you see what the brands were doing. Like they were really holding them accountable. And what they ended up doing with this particular retro is that there was zoom air in the heel, but the forefoot area, that was actually no longer there. So this guy right here was not an empty cavity. Instead, it was filled with a foam pad in this same shape. So they did mold the midsole properly. They just did not insert the correct technology in there for some reason. I did speak with a brand rep way back then, and they stated, at least to me, that it was a miscommunication error between them and the factory.
Right.
So I didn't really buy that. That's just what I was told. But the main thing about this particular release in 2017 though, is that these were actually sold and advertised with the item description of heel and forefoot zoom air. You know what that is in America? False advertising. I ended up seeing this FastPass post. I posted it or reposted it on Instagram and it went viral, and people were pissed to the point where everybody that bought these things called up Nike's customer service hotline, and they all got refunds, and they got to keep the shoes. It was weird. And if they didn't get full refunds, they got discounts. Like they got like 25% off or whatever it was. Now, I didn't mean for that to happen, okay? I was just shocked. I was like, why would Jordan Brand, this is right at a moment when Jordan Brand was starting to go back downhill again. And like, I was like, why would you do this? Now, some of the numbers that you see on this red strip right here, or if you're looking at this one, it's the blue strip. You'll see on the bottom, it's got a Jumpman, a 2, and a 17. That's Jordan's birthday right there. It's actually coming up soon. And then the ones that you see on the back right here is his jersey number 23, his ring number 6, and the model number 15. Now the upper is really interesting. It weighs damn near nothing. So again, all of the heft or clunk that you feel while wearing this shoe, it's all from the bottom. It's just from those 3 pieces of rubber, the forefoot, the heel, and the heel counter. Because the upper right here is like super weird. First off, there's an internal booty. This actually was designed to mimic MJ's tongue while in flight, and also a callback to the stealth bomber plane and stuff, like how angular it was. And so yeah, this right here was MJ's tongue literally sticking out. The originals look great, where they're like flat and perfect and everything like that. The retros, not so much. They'd never have been able to get this right. I don't know why. But that is a full-on booty sleeve done up in double layered mesh, which is really comfortable, but also not very breathable. And then the main body of everything is actually this woven material, which is stuff that we see nowadays. So for them to have been doing this way back in the early 2000s is really cool. I say this all the time about the Air Jordan 11, is that they were using textile before textile was a big component to footwear, especially basketball footwear. So yeah, they were ahead of the curve there. And then on the bottom, the support rand, essentially, this is actual genuine leather. One of the things that people really dislike about this overall design is how it looks right after you wear it. It folds up all super weird and And if you remember our recent Adidas Harden Volume 9 video, that shoe did very similar things as this shoe, and they remind me of them. Not these remind me of those, but those remind me of these. And then one of my favorite features is actually right here on the tip of the toe, and it's just this little rubber piece right here with a little flap on there with a tiny little Jumpman on there. And he looks awesome. He doesn't look all weird and squished like he does on the back of the low top Air Jordan 11s, the ones with the patent leather. Instead, he looks perfect. He looks like he was made digitally, which he was. Now, as far as original colorways, way back in 1999, as I stated before, they debuted with the black and varsity red color. I believe the second color was the white and Columbia blues. Again, I really wish that those were retro. It is a grail of mine. I think that those things are gorgeous. My second favorite colorway just so happens to be the white and flint gray. I actually do have an original pair of those upstairs. I don't think that they're wearable anymore, but I've kept them because I love them. Followed by these guys. These are called the white and obsidians. And then there were 3 original low tops as well, one of which is the original white and red. There was a white and navy, and then there was a black and metallic silver. Something that is very little known about the Air Jordan 15, and especially just this era in general, is that mocks, slides, and mules were super popular, especially when you were transitioning from on-court to off-court or vice versa. And so the Air Jordan 15 was the first in the line to feature a mock version, aka a laceless version of the shoe. Essentially, it was an Air Jordan slip-on that you were supposed to use to and from the court. Now, those weren't the only original colorways. There was actually some East Bay exclusives. They were considered Team Bank colorways. So when you see the title of a shoe like Kobe 8 Protro TB, that means Team Bank, and that means that they're done up in team colorways like we've seen recently. And the Air Jordan 15 was no different. There was actually a really slick white and red. There was a white and green, a beautiful white and purple, as well as a white and black colorway. I think that was all of them. If I missed one, please let me know. Now, with all of that being said, do we happen to have time for a question of the day?
Yes, it's short and sweet, or yummy and savory.
Because it's a food question?
Yeah, pho or ramen.
Ooh, you're trying to start a war here. That's what I hear. You said you don't love pho.
Yeah, I do not love pho the way that you guys all love pho.
But do you like pho?
It's okay. I prefer ramen.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
But
because it's delicious and far superior.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get at you. She does not like pho. I love pho. I think that pho is, I wouldn't say the king of soups, but it's definitely one of them. However, I will say that ramen is really good. It just kind of depends on what you want. Ramen's a little heavier for me. Like there's more stuff. Ugh. At least maybe there's not. It just feels that way. I wonder why that is. Is it the noodles that are different? I mean, they are different, but like, is the noodles being different the reason why I feel more like bloated after eating ramen than I do when I'm done eating pho?
I think the broth is definitely thicker and creamier, richer, more yummy.
A war is brewing. I'm just letting you know. Sound off below and let us know which you prefer between pho and ramen. And on top of all of that, what do you think about the Air Jordan 15? Is this the most hated Air Jordan in the entire line? And if it is, well, obviously say so down below, but if it isn't, what do you think like is out-hated amongst like the Air Jordans? You know what I'm saying? I really need to know. And on top of that, do you think that these deserve a retro? I think that they do. A true proper retro with full tech specs. But thank you guys so much for being here. I will catch you guys in the next one. So until then, y'all have a good one.